What's up? About to go live on Adverse Reaction this week because there's a lot to talk about, and I was like, why not talk about it with... That's Big Zoe prepping.
Yeah.
So much going on. Aladdin is not here tonight, but yeah, DanellaNOW this week will feature Adverse Reaction because how can I not talk to you guys about how crazy of a world we are living in at this very moment. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining me again this week. Sorry I missed you last week. It's just been crazy. All right, here we go.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled talk show. It's time for something new.
Adverse reaction.
Adverse reaction.
Adverse reaction.
Adverse reaction.
Y'all ready? Open up your mind, let your conscience free. Adverse reaction is the voice of the streets.
With Big Zoe.
Big Zoe in the house.
Curators, don't duplicate us.
Danella, Sila, Vanille.
Danella's in the house.
Still here, never left. Still making snacks.
And Aladdin.
Wish make a heart break a long hair, mother lover.
It's a movement. Weeknights, 7 p.m. on WOL.
WOL 1450 AM.
95.9 FM.
Where information is power.
Okay, first we're going to start with Trump's meeting in Vietnam, and it went belly up. No deal.
Didn't it?
A complete waste of time.
Well, we don't really know because we didn't hear what they were actually talking about. We know they didn't make a deal.
That is a waste of time. First of all, this is why I'm saying a waste of time. So think about it. Literally, all of his advisors are saying that there will be no deal. North Korea will not denuclearize. This is a waste of time. Everybody advised against it. And then you got your homegirl Pelosi. She's awesome.
She don't play.
She was like, oh, so it takes you 2 times to figure that out, what everyone else has been saying?
The whole, since they've been dealing with North Korea?
Since the history of North Korea?
Yeah, including his father, who was...
the original, yeah.
Yeah, the chairman. That's what their presidency is called.
Okay.
The chairman, yeah. The chairman before was his father. But what my question to this is, okay, we know supposedly he went there to talk about denuclearizing.
Yeah, we get it. We get what you're saying.
And of course, opening up the border so they can actually start doing trade and everything like that. But what if it really wasn't about that?
I know.
You know, because Trump might be feeling the heat, so he might have to, really align himself with certain allies that we wouldn't consider allies ourselves, but he might need them.
What are you saying?
I don't know.
I know what you're saying, but I want you to say it.
I don't know what I'm saying because I don't know what happened, but what if he was over there to be on the U.S. presidency type of thing and negotiate in politics, but what if he was over there on the Trump type of thing? To negotiate in politics.
Cue the biggest news that everybody's talking about, and that would be Cohen testifying in front of the House Oversight Committee.
There we go.
All right. It's so much to get into. Reactors, if you're listening, feel free to call because I know how you roll.
450-7876, 1-800-450-7876. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so let's talk about, I don't know if we should say highlights, lowlights, takeaways. That's probably best said. Okay. Cohen, whether you believe him or not, right? He brought what I call receipts.
Didn't he?
Proof. Multiple examples of proof to back up what it is that he's saying. And so what was so interesting to me is as I'm watching the Republicans, take their turns and they're going hard. Like you would have thought this was like the witch hunt of Salem or something like liar, liar. Everything is just that you're lying, but no one challenges his proof at all.
They couldn't.
They couldn't
challenge the proof because their job was to make him look bad.
But also I would imagine if this, because back in the day. No, it still happens because the Hallmark Channel still puts a lot of old mysteries on. So I am all about these like Matlocks, Murder, She Wrote, even some Law and Orders. Usually your job is to not just discredit the witness, right? But also part of your job is
to poke holes in the story.
To poke holes in the evidence.
Yeah.
Okay. So with so much to uncover, but we actually have Walter on the line as well. Walter, you want to join us? You're on live with Adverse Reaction. Good evening.
What's up?
What's up, Walter? So what are you gonna say? Because it was crazy. This was the best TV I had watched in years.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, have y'all remembered the Clinton impeachment?
But we were younger then.
Yeah.
I watched it. This was like real life reality TV.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got
Okay.
it. You got it.
If Trump was a Democrat, these Republicans would be going for his head.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is partisanship flip-flop. But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Republicans this is no longer the Republican Party. This is the Trump Party that he bought stock, lock, and barrel.
Mm-hmm.
So Mark Meadows and
Mark Meadows.
Meadows.
Oh, God. Meadows,
Jordan.
you got it.
and Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
right off the bat, they disrespected Elijah Cummings because they didn't want to see no black man sitting at the head of the committee.
Mm.
And they disrespected all day long. But remember, they were the ones who when they were in power, they swept this thing under the rug. Well, now the mess is coming back.
Oh, it's coming out
Okay.
with proof.
Okay. Cohen had paper evidence.
Sure did.
Y'all have a good night. I'll talk to you
Walter,
later.
have a
Walter.
good night. It was so many moments that you were like, is this really happening? Because even for Congressman Meadows, he says, if Trump is so racist, how do you explain her?
Yeah.
And I'm watching this like, what in the...
You name one person?
You name what, and then your boy Cohen comes back hardcore. Well, how many African people of color are there
in his cabinet.
in his cabinet or in the executive position?
Yeah.
How many? Oh, well, sure. And then when Mark tried to defend his statement, okay, when he tries to defend his statement later, he says, "I'm not racist. You know I'm not racist. My nieces and nephew are people of color." Let's just, are you a people of color yourself?
I'm a person of color.
But would you say, my cousin is a person of color.
Right.
Like
right.
we don't,
Right.
who calls themselves people of color?
Yeah. I don't know.
Like in your family.
Yeah, I don't know.
In your family.
Right. Who?
And then it comes out his statements from when he was on the birther movement going after Barack Obama. Is he from Kenya or wherever he's from?
Mm-hmm.
So, anytime you do something, people going to dig in the crates.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying, I'm not racist. And the crates are like, hold up, here's the
Wait a
footage.
second. You forgot about this?
You forgot about this
Yeah.
time.
I mean,
Then
Cohen
they
was...
had to debate that.
I think he did a really good job, though.
Listen, I can see why he was Trump lawyer for 10 years.
Yeah.
For a decade.
He did it. He kept his composure, and he got aggravated at the right times.
At the right times. Passionate at
He
the
got
right
passionate
times.
at the right time. He slowed his patterns down. sped 'em up,
Remorseful at the right time.
remorseful, and he kept reminding you, I know what I've done. I know I made some mistakes. I know I have. But,
But, right.
this guy who's a racist, who's a cheat, who, I mean, he had a list.
Con man.
A con man. He had a list of
so
adjectives.
Good. Yes.
Or, you know what I'm saying? I was like, or nouns.
Yo. And let me show you. He had me what do they call it? Go against any school, anybody that will release his SATs or his grades.
Yes.
And I had to threaten them with lawsuits.
Threatened him, and he probably paid him too.
Here's
Yeah.
a letter.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he was going hard.
A cease and desist. They sent the letter.
Cease and desist.
And then they probably compensated, gave to the school. So that way you win
Right,
both ways.
you win both
You're covering
ways.
both ends of the table.
Here's some checks. Trump said he didn't pay me. Here's 1 of 11. And here's another check.
Charitable
Here,
donation.
look at Trump
Yeah.
Jr. That's his signature. This is Trump's signature. No one's going hard. What did Trump? Did you do some yard work for him? Did you do some extra? You know what I mean? No one's saying anything about that. It's just you are a liar.
And then when they talked about schooling, let's just take a step back and just listen to him speak.
It's clear. You mean very fine, very good, tremendous, great,
and then using those same adjectives
great,
over and over
very
again.
fine, great,
right? Very, very, very
amazing,
good.
amazing,
very,
good,
very good,
big,
good.
big deal, big deal,
a real big deal, a real big. So I'm like, okay, what would his SATs
what
look
school
like?
is that?
I know some athletes.
don't see
No,
now.
no,
now you gotta
no.
throw athletes under the bus.
No, I'm not throwing them under the bus.
I know what you're about to say.
I mean, for
that
them,
they express themselves better.
way better. Way better, and I'm sure they did way better on the SAT. You know
Yeah, they had to. They went to college usually.
Yeah, it was dumb jocks, whatever. They skate through. So what would he be considered? Because he skated through, obviously, and now he's supposedly. And they say he's not a billionaire.
Right. Yes.
They say
yes.
he's not
that's
a
not
billionaire.
true. Okay. So, as we're watching this hearing, and then later, like an hour after the I don't want to say token. Is that wrong to say that? Because when Congresswoman Tlaib said that she was a prop, then that sparked a race debate.
Yeah.
People are still. But wouldn't we say that? Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah.
We would say that,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we got to get out our
wrong?
feelings sometimes. We got to get out our feelings.
I feel bad for her because when I looked at her, the woman that stood
She
up,
was
I
used as a
literally,
prop.
yes, she
Yeah.
was. But I also was like, she really needs her job.
Yeah.
Like, she's probably like, I'm just happy to work.
Yeah, and I'm on international TV. Oh, this is kind of cool.
And look at my cape.
Yeah.
Like, look at I got
No
my
more
hair done.
Yeah.
She tweeted out before it happened.
did? What'd she say?
Yo, I didn't read her tweet, but they're going to get her, that she was going to make an appearance. I should have pulled up her tweet. I kind of was frustrated, but then I understood her because I've heard other African Americans say a similar thing where, sometimes you need to check. So even if you work with people racist, it's like, who gonna pay my bills?
Well, and going back to the athletes, like sometimes we have coaches.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
We don't. I told my son, I said, you're gonna have coaches that you don't like, and you're gonna have coaches that don't like you. Mm-hmm. But your job is to get as much as you can from the whatever sport you're in and do your best.
So would you let your son go to a game if the coach got called out for racism, and then let your son stand up and say, he my coach?
I would not give him that bad advice. Like, well, Dad, he want me to be his guy. I'm like, nah, he gotta find somebody else.
Oh my gosh.
He gotta find. But I like him. I said, yeah, but you're not gonna like him today.
It just shows us in our country that there's still a lot of racism, and it's prominent.
Yeah.
You keep seeing people say things, do things, and then apologize. And it's not me, it's you. This isn't racist. You're racist.
Well, how long can we continue to accept the norm?
Correct. But before we even ask that question, can we go to Virginia
Why not?
and talk about what's trending from Virginia?
Racist claims from Virginia's governor's mansion, but this time it's First Lady Northam, who's under fire after offering black students cotton during a school tour. Now, for all those who don't know who she is, remember her husband, the governor of Virginia?
That's right. Remember, Governor Northam had a black face in his yearbook, medical yearbook.
His medical yearbook.
But he said it wasn't him. First he apologized. Then he was like, it's not me.
Well, first he said it's not me, and then he
No.
apologized. He said
No.
he apologized first?
Yes.
Well, how you apologize if you say it's not you?
Yes. So so you getting confused because it's so much back and forth. He came out and denounced it. That's the first thing he did. Then he came out and said, it's not me. And I don't know who it is or how it got on my page. Well, now his wife is in hot water.
Well, and the thing about it with her, she's doing the same thing. Well, I apologize. I don't understand.
Well, let's go into detail about what she did.
Okay, so she was doing a tour of the
school tour.
A school tour.
Check out the mansion.
And it's kind of like
Ooh.
delegates from like young senators and young representatives.
Okay.
So they both came, and it was a small portion were black. I think it might only been 3. And so it was a pretty good, nice size group, like maybe 20 to 30 kids. She toured the actual governor mansion where they live and do business, but then she also took them to this like kitchen where this is where at the time, because this is kind of like basically a plantation anyway. So this is where the slaves were. That's where they cooked.
That's where they were.
And brought all the food to the actual big mansion. So she was touring around and showing, actually pulled some cotton and said, I want you guys to experience what this actually feels like, what it looks like.
Imagine being a slave.
And imagine having to pick this and have to work with your hands and deal with this all day. Imagine being a slave, basically.
To the black students.
Well, so this is where it's tricky. So the way the story is told by her and even one of the black girls that was there, they happened to be in her close proximity. But if you are the wife of that particular governor who just caught that particular case, not case, but caught that drama.
He's still trying to back out because people are like, he needs to step down. He needs to resign.
You have to think, you have to be like very clear in every move you make, at least for the next couple of months, right?
Right.
At least. Let that be forgotten. But you right away with it.
Here, black people, some cotton, feel it. Imagine being a slave.
Yeah, imagine being a slave. So she also gave it to not just and that's how the story gets misconstrued.
Yeah, this is how it gets twisted. Because one version says that she in the past has given it to anybody, whoever's close to her. Coincidentally, that day, it was the black students that were close to her. And
even on that day, there were some white kids who touched it too. There was one black girl that did not touch it. So they gave it to one, and she was kind of like, and then they gave it to another one, and she wouldn't take it. And then the third one took it and was like torn up behind it.
What do we do? Yeah,
like was messed up. And then she also gave it to a couple other kids, but very few. So just so happens the black girls were right around her, or it might have been a black guy too, but the black kids were right there next to her. So that's the excuse she's using.
All right.
Well, they were in close proximity.
All right, let's take a moment. Let's just take a moment. We're going to play both sides.
Talk to me.
Are we being... I can't even do my nice... Let me hold off on my nice and just do my other one first. White lady in Virginia. What memo do we have to write to you?
Yeah.
If you don't want to answer this or be deemed as racist, to say, don't pass out cotton on a field trip to your old plantation mansion.
Especially the black kids.
Let's just say,
what are we doing?
We don't have to imagine being a slave.
Come on.
Okay? How about you pass it to people that look like you who can't imagine being a slave?
Right.
How about passing it out to people who aren't oppressed and ask them to imagine working this hard and being oppressed?
And seeing what this feels like. Imagine working with your hands all day, picking this.
Right.
So, that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing.
On the tour, but if you do it, and if the black kids felt like they were kind of like called out and made to feel less,
then something is wrong in your delivery. If kids are turning it down, she should have been able to read that nonverbal communication
right away. Bang, bang.
Oh man, no, this is what I normally do. I don't mean it in this way.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is part of my tour. But if you feel any kind of way, you definitely
just know that I don't mean it this way. Correctly.
Well, Sally, come over. You come over here, Sally. I want you to touch it.
Yeah, come
and then
over
let's
here.
wrap this up because I don't want anybody feeling uncomfortable.
Right. I'll touch it because I can't even imagine.
I'm touching it, Sally. If you want to touch it, you can touch it. But if not, then let's get out of here. Let's wrap this part of the tour up because I don't want anyone feeling uncomfortable.
Because the nice side of me is like, are we being too sensitive? She should be able to pass out cotton. It's just cotton.
Yeah. And then she said, well, I'm sorry that I made people upset. It's not that you made people upset.
You're offensive. That is an offensive action.
You have to be, if you are the wife of the governor who he just got jammed. He just got racially jammed.
We can still look this up. It's current.
Yeah, and you supposed to be on your cues. You are supposed to be on your square and to know like, ooh, okay, I remember when I do that, when I do this tour, this is probably something I should cut out.
But did no one tell her that at all? Like, yo, listen, I noticed that, your husband, blackface all over the internet. You might want to not give out cotton when you do these tours anymore.
Yeah, no touching the cotton.
Don't have them touch.
But what if I have all white kids? Well, you know what? Let's just not even do it. Let's wait. Let's wait till after the summer. Well, what if it's all Spanish kids? Just wait.
How about we save on the slave quarters?
Yeah.
Let's just hold off on showing the slave area.
Slave quarters, let's
stay on the slavery
next winter,
in
maybe,
this house tonight.
Yeah. At least. Next winter, we
So
can
that's
start
going to
back
bring
up.
me back to my reactors, okay? 1-800-450-7876, because our reactors go hard and they say over and over, these things aren't accidents. And my question right now is, how many times must we accept these apologies for racist actions?
Yeah.
They're actions. It's not emotions and feelings. That's an action.
I don't think we should let it happen anymore. We
Well,
don't.
what do we- it's like-
we don't need to wait any longer. Like, we need to stop. Like,
Because we see it on television the other night, right?
Yep.
We see it where I'm not a racist. It point to the black guy that you worked with for all these years. You know, Chairman, you know I'm not. You know I'm not. It's like, what?
Well,
You definitely
I mean,
have. It's.
let's think about the ways to cut it right there in the butt.
Get me.
Right
Go.
there in the room.
Go.
Right there,
Go.
right.
So go.
When someone does that to you, how typically do you respond, and how often has it happened to you?
Okay. If someone's called me a racist.
Not a racist, but like kind of like said something that you was like,
Oh, racist around me.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I
because
say,
some people just don't know. They're
right.
ignorant.
I say that's racist.
Right.
If you my
Right away?
friend, you know that's racist.
So none of your friends.
No, they have.
Okay.
Remember, I was in I'm in a sorority it was an Italian-based sorority in NYU originally. So I had a lot of questions, especially being the only black person at when I first joined at that period that was still matriculated.
Were they mostly Italian girls? Or?
No. We had other, like Indian girls from different parts of India, Puerto Rico. We had girls from different countries, but not so much African Americans, right? And so I was like the representative for my race. And I remember talking about it in school, and I had never...
the one representative from your race.
Right, that's the problem. So my teacher, so my teacher was like, why should you be the representative for all African Americans? And I was like, you're right. So then I went back to my sorority house, and I was like, listen up.
We need some more brownies.
But now the Indian girls were browner than me.
That's true. Okay.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't brown people. Some were browner than me. Anyway, I just say this to say that I started to say, that's racist. Here, let me explain why. Does that make sense? Because, for example, one of the girls asked me, this is going to be classic because it's not even going to make sense to you guys listening. She said, why do black people only wear one pant leg up? Right? And I said, I'm gonna say, when you say something like that, it's racist because you're asking, why do all black people do this? If you ever want to know why black people, is this black culture? Is this like some other culture? Do you see older black men on the street, like grandparents, rolling their slacks up? Because then that makes it a black culture thing. And I said, the thing that I'm realizing, because in DC, we didn't do that. But in New York, it became a culture because bikers, there's a lot of bike messengers. And so what they would do is roll the one pant leg up so it wouldn't get caught on their bike when they're like delivering the mail. Does that make sense?
Is that how it started?
Dude, yes. Because I had to look this crap up. I was like, why is this happening? And because there were so many people that get off their bikes looking super cool, delivering their packages, it started to become a style. One pant leg
you just
up.
dropped a jewel on me.
I had to look it up because I was like, my people don't do this. So I'm like researching.
I was never
like,
one of those. I never followed every trend, and that was one I skipped.
You remember that. But that wasn't
remember
big in D.C.
Nah, but I was still up there when they was doing that.
In New York,
Yeah.
because in DC we didn't have bike messengers. We didn't have, that wasn't popular where businesses would just send over a biker to message a package at that time. That wasn't like big for us.
Okay.
Right? Think back.
Yeah.
Not at all. But it was big in New York, all these corporations, so much traffic. So what they would do if they needed a letter to get to another building signed today, they would get a messenger.
Right.
But that was like huge.
Yeah.
Anyway. Had to break that down.
No, and that's another thing too. It's always they'll see a trend and then they'll call it black or ghetto or hood.
Correct.
But those people who say that, I think a lot of times people just need to be educated. I don't think a lot of these people are actually racist.
And so that's why I say, I just would say it if you're my friend, like, that's racist, right?
Yeah.
Because people get automatic like, I'm not racist.
Right.
But then educating in that time, understanding. You understand what I mean? It was so many comments all the time that they didn't understand that they were being racist because they had never lived with a black person. Does that make sense? But that's what I would do. And guess who's on the line now?
Who's that?
Our number one reactor, Kane. What's up, Kane?
Afternoon, family. Afternoon. How's everybody doing?
What's going on, bro?
Nothing much. I can't complain, man. Enjoying the radio show. We got to do something to get you guys a 3 to 4 hour slot. We do.
Thank
we
you,
do.
Kane.
But
it's a lot we're trying to cover tonight.
It is quite a bit. And as far as the governor's wife, I mean, how many examples do we need of one culture telling another culture, this is our way of poking fun at you?
Yeah.
This isn't something that's happened once. It's not something that's happened twice. It's not something that's happened 3 times. So you're telling me, oh, and you just so happen that you hand it to everybody. So when a situation comes up like this, you can say, oh, I'm not racist. I do it to everybody. No, they should have took the cotton and threw it in your face. You're racist. You're racist.
Trying to get them arrested.
Funny thing is about all of these politicians, okay? Every single one of them. If a white person in power is not concerned about what's going on with black people. And if black people if you think that a white person in power with money around other white people sitting around saying, what can we do to improve the black people community? Well, you a little bit more than crazy. I mean, you are a little bit more than crazy. Your elevator don't go all the way up. I'm not even sure it'll go halfway up. And so we have to stop giving these people. We have to stop giving them slack and then say, "Oh, we've been too sensitive, we've been too this," because absolutely not. Absolutely not. If we did the same thing to them, and there was some type of function where white people came and we said, hey, touch these rocks from the caves, and you know what I'm saying, understand your history. This is where you came from. You know, your dad used to rape your mom and beat you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? And then your brother used to fight your other brother for the right to rape your sister. They'd be pretty upset, wouldn't they? They would be pretty mad. This is the type of environment that they came out of. Now, we were to remind them of that, then it would be such a social issue. It would be a problem. Okay, these people know this is a super icon of slavery for black people. Cotton is the number one thing associated with slavery outside of anything physical with the human body.
Right.
So the representation of cotton, and then this guy's wearing blackface. Only thing that's going on today is that it seems like America is what the white powers are doing. It's like an experiment. They're saying, how much will they take? And we're going to push the envelope until the bow breaks. We're going to push this and see how. We're going to push. I mean, the Katy Perry shoes, and then the necklace, and then Gucci. You mean to tell me that all these people with brains don't realize that this stuff is racist? Of course they do. They don't care. They're doing it on purpose. They have money, they have power, they have influence, you have nothing, and they make fun of you. And then you sit back, you give them your money. These people who are noted Sambos, should never have a black card given back. That's never. No, when you sit there and you do things that take away from the ability for your race to prosper for your own part, that is the definition of a sellout. You should be called out, and your people should nothing do. I'm not saying that we should run around and chop your head off, but you should be exclamating from the black community. You come around black people, we should just turn our back to you. Don't even speak to you.
So wait, I got a question for you. Okay, so with that theory, how do you feel about Floyd Mayweather?
Same thing. Floyd Mayweather's even worse. Floyd Mayweather, because he goes out of it. He goes out of his way to say, I'm not doing nothing for Flint. They ain't never did nothing for me. What a bunch of poor people drinking lead water going to do for you? The first place you illiterate fool.
And he from there?
What are they going? It's not Flint actually. It's. I heard the other one where he's from.
Okay.
I tend to forget.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to say something incorrect, but. He's definitely from Michigan, and it could possibly it could be Flint, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But Floyd Mayweather is I seen a post the other day. They said, I don't care if he's never undefeated. You will never even remotely be in the same conversation as Muhammad Ali. I don't care what your profession. Dr. Clark said, whatever you do, do it well and do it for your people. He's not doing it for his people, so it doesn't matter what he's doing. That money, Floyd Mayweather, what he's doing, is that money going to be integrated to anything that'll help black people, let's say, in the next 120 years, to say, well, this money was founded with this person, that person? Is any of that money going to do anything to help us move on to the future?
No.
then he's not doing anything for us. And he's just as irrelevant as Omarosa. I'm not saying we got to go around saying we hate this person, we hate that person. No. They need to be ostracized. They need to be ostracized. You won't find the Jewish community accepting nobody. A Jewish person come out and say, hey, guys, let's give our money back to the Nazis. No. They will never speak to that person again. They will never speak to that person again. The black community needs to understand that as a culture, then there needs to be things that we do as a culture. And when someone does things that we do not accept as a culture, that needs to be stated. It needs to be noted. We need to say, this we not accept. This person is not of us, and we need to move on. I mean, that's just like taking somebody back after they go back to somebody who treated them like a dog in a relationship, and then they come back to the person like sloppy seconds. No, we don't want you back. You go back over there to your masters. Go back over there to your masters. Enjoy the time with them while they kicking you in your back because they don't want nothing to do with you. But because you sold out, like you listen to Steve Harvey with those gigantic teeth, you listen to him, you believe them, and now you want nothing to do with it. See, K. Michelle's a prime example. That's what should happen to every single one of them. We don't need to go around saying we hate K. Michelle. She can feel it in the loss of sales. She can feel it in her pocket. She can feel it when she goes to the grocery store.
Yeah, what happened with, what did she say that you're referring to?
Oh, when she agreed to do one of the performances for Trump. I tend to forget which one it is.
No, you're talking about Chrisette Michelle. There we go.
Yeah.
A different Michelle.
Chrisette
we got
Michelle.
you now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who did I say?
K. Michelle. We were like, what is she?
I apologize. I never want to throw something like that on a black person. They did not do.
Well, yeah, we
K. Michelle, if you ever hear this, I apologize. That is not you, baby. I'm sorry.
She gonna booty bump you now. She gonna hit you with that booty.
Chrisette Michelle actually had to
apologize.
switch
Chrisette
genres.
Michelle. I'm not good with the celebrity names. I apologize.
You are right.
Yes, Chrisette Michelle. So when these people do this, and you are actively just like people in the neighborhood, if you are actively one of the people who, when someone is trying to diffuse something between black people and you're one of those keep things started, those are the people that get people sent to jail and get people murdered. Those are people, you should stop your argument with the person you fuss with and say, this person right here is the one that needs to be kept away from our kids, and no one needs to speak to our neighborhood because this is why little Johnny has life. This is why little Mo has 15 years. This is why little Derek is dead because this person right here is flaming the fire. So those people need to be caught out because they are stopping us moving forward. And that's means our kids suffer. And I'll do anything for mine.
Kane, 2020.
Grand Rapids.
Kane,
That's where he's from.
2020.
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Kane, be safe out there. What city are you in again, Kane?
I'm in D.C.
You in D.C.? Okay, you said
Yes,
good
I
afternoon. It threw me off.
I meant to say good evening.
Okay.
All right, Kane.
All right, Kane, take care.
That's a reactor for you.
You too.
Yo, now he can bring us some food. You know he be delivering. I know he was local. Oh man, so Kane brought up a lot of good points. Okay, so when Kane goes, sometimes he go harder than how I go. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I might be somebody that he says who elevator doesn't go all the way up, right? Because he feels that if you would think that anybody that is Caucasian of power would be helpful to the African American community, your elevator doesn't go all the way up. Did you hear him say that?
Yeah.
My elevator doesn't go all the way up because I do think that there are people that are Caucasian that do help.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
I do too.
And so also because of our lifestyle, like when you're, we love everyone, right? Zoe, you and I. And so we don't have that same feeling of it's always like this or should be this way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And sometimes when you get passionate, Kane's passionate.
He is passionate.
And we all get passionate. But we have to tend to make sure our blanket statements are to a minimum because then we get put in a box for putting other people in a box. But I get what he was saying, though.
No, I get what he's saying. But then I'm also like, oh, my realtor's going to be like, heard your show last night.
Heard your show, so maybe you should go and live over there. Because over here you're looking, it's a lot of people that look like me and not as many people that look like you. So why don't you stay and don't segregate yourself.
Or segregate yourself. No, but seriously, this is a serious problem and we keep bringing it up on our show and I don't know what we're going to do because it's coming more prevalent with racism. You know what I mean? And how long are we going to pretend that it's not real? Like, it is here. And so you need these kind of conversations to say, even amongst your friends, like, listen, I love you. That's racist. Because if they say that I'm being racist, I'm like, I could be prejudiced.
Right.
But I'm a minority.
So you never heard one of those girls in the sorority say the N-word?
Oh no,
Never.
no.
But do you think they say it?
And this is when Biggie was out.
Do you think they said
No,
it?
they edited out. They're not around me.
Okay.
Ever.
But do you think they said it?
We've talked about it, and I don't think they would. Maybe in their car alone,
Yeah.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah. But they knew, like in public, not to.
Right. At least
Yeah.
not by their black friend.
Yeah, or in the house. We lived in a house.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And I never heard.
That flying
No,
around
they
the house.
always cut it. All of them, all races of them, always.
So when
cut
they were
it.
singing the song, they wouldn't sing that part?
No, they would never.
Okay.
Never.
So I mean, I'm only saying that because I'm thinking about how when Cohen was riding around with Trump in Chicago, and he said, you know, that was one of the racist examples he gave. He said, you know, only black people can live like this, and he probably didn't say blacks, but he said only these blacks could live like this. There's no other people that could live like that. But black people aren't the first people who lived in what we call ghetto.
No, all the immigrants that came to America
All
did.
ethnicities
All
ran through it.
ethnicities, yeah.
You know, but the only problem is that we're still there. So education doesn't, we don't need to just inform and educate people who we think
Are insensitive.
are insensitive racists. We need to inform and educate ourselves.
Yo, let me take out insensitive then if we're talking about racist. They're not insensitive racists. They're racist.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. They might say something that could come off as racist, but they might not be a racist person.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
guess this is more prejudice. And that's the big difference, you know.
It's a line.
Anytime you got to say, I have a black friend, double check your racism.
Not necessarily, because what if they live in Idaho or South Dakota?
But I'm saying that if that's following up to a previous statement that you made, let's double check that previous statement. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but so say if a white person said to another white person, if they were being racist, and then that white person checked them and said, hey, I got a black friend. They're not all like that. That's not.
Oh, no.
You know what
I'm
I'm
not
saying?
calling that. But I'm saying that if you say something and a black person says to you, that's racist, and then you say, I can't be racist, I have a black friend.
Got you.
I'm saying that if that's your immediate defense,
Yeah, 'cause
please
I have this
double
one black
check.
friend. Yeah.
If it's that only one, that's
Yeah.
all you have,
Yeah.
please double check that the statement that you just made or the action you just did is racist.
And he lets me, or
Your
she
friend
lets
is
me
the
throw the
exception.
N-word around all the time around them.
And that, Zoe,
That doesn't make me racist.
You done hit.
Because I sing the songs that they sing. We all sing the same song. So
Or I'm in North Potomac and I was given a N-word golden ticket. Remember the couple students got expelled for passing out like Willy Wonka
Passes.
N-word golden tickets?
Yeah. And I'm actually thinking about a situation I know very similar to that. You know, where people say, well, you know, this kid gets a pass and that kid gets a pass. But I'm like, what? Is that what we doing that?
They're doing it. We're going to talk more when we're on the other side. Adverse Reaction will be right back.
Adverse reaction. It's a movement. Feel it. Feel it.
Yeah. Y'all ready? Open up your mind, let your conscience free. Adverse reaction is the voice of the streets. Big Zoe in the house.
Curators, don't duplicate.
DanellaNOW's in the house.
Still here, never left. Lit mommy more or less. Still making snaps.
Young Prince in the house. Let wish make a heartbreaker, long hair, mother lover.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. Zoe, any words to the people?
To the people, let's see.
Okay. Thank you for watching this podcast. If you're in the DC area, you can listen to us Adverse Reaction weeknight 7 p.m. on WOL. That's 1450 AM and 95.9 FM. And online, which most people love, WOLDCnews.com. It was important to me to just have you on the show and for people to kind of hear us talk about this Cohen situation and this racism.
I made it.
You made it. You've been on this before. Why don't you watch? Look, he's gonna do a dance, but he's also not on any social media, so it doesn't really count, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right. So thank you guys so much. And
Not
I'll
for
see
long,
you
though.
next week. You say this, but yeah.
You said this
If you want to follow Zoe, follow him Carrier Pigeon, Smoke Green, or you can follow him literally on the street, like walking behind him. See ya.
Yeah, man.